This is the list of tasks that you are planning to work on today, or that you must work on today because the deadline is today. In this video, I'll show you how to organize your to-dos in Notion. There's a lot of specialized apps out there for organizing your to-dos or for organizing your notes or documents. But if you want one app for all of those things, one app that is available on any device, then Notion is the app for you. I'll also show you as a little bonus how you can track your goals and handle custom projects in Notion as well. But just before we do that, I want to say a massive thank you to Notion for sponsoring this video. You really can do anything with Notion, and the app is totally free for personal use. So if you want to get started with Notion, just download it from the link in the description below the video, and there you'll also find a free template for the Notion setup that I'll be showing you. Okay, let's jump right in and start here with this to-dos page that I've created. This is where you're going to be managing your tasks. Now there's a bunch of sub pages here, and I'll walk you through those one by one. We'll start over in the inbox. Whenever you think of something that you want to do, you want to add it to the inbox. That's easy. Just click the new button right here or click new right here. Now, I have a task that I want to do. I went to a college called Swarthmore College, and I need to tell them that I have a new mailing address. So I'm going to say update mailing address in the Swarthmore alumni directory. You see, I've just become a digital nomad, so my mailing address has changed, and they sometimes mail me things like a calendar every year. That's pretty fun, and I'd like to receive those. So this is a task that I have. Now, just click here, and now this is a new task in my task database. I'll show you the master task database, how this works a little bit later, by the way. Just want to explain to you the system first. Now, if I click right here, I open this tasks page, and it shows that I have some task attributes right here. I can schedule this task to say I'm planning to work on it on a specific date. I can set a deadline saying this task really needs to be done by this particular moment. And I can assign the task to an area. And let's start there. If I click into this field, you'll see that I have a bunch of areas set up. This is a default list that I've created that works well for lots of people, but you can customize this according to what you've got going on in your life. It's really helpful to do that because it's really nice to be able to say, hey, what are all my admin tasks? Or what are all my work tasks? But I want to see the work tasks, not the home tasks, right? And to customize this, for example, if you do paid work, but also volunteering, you could add an additional area that's called volunteering just to keep those things separate. Anyway, the default areas that I've created for you are admin and finances, fun and trips, health, home, learning, relationships, and work. Now, this particular task is clearly an admin task, so I'll add it to admin and finances. Now, does this task have a deadline? A deadline is a date, or maybe a date and a time, when it really needs to be done by. Like if you don't do it by that time, there'll be serious negative consequences for you. In this case, that doesn't really apply, right? It's not like paying the rent. Like you have to pay the rent by a certain day of the month, otherwise bad things will happen. That's not the case here. However, I might want to schedule this for a specific date. I might want to say, you know what, there's not one specific date by which I really need to get done by, but this would be good to do sooner rather than later, so why don't I just do it today? So I click into scheduled for, I find today. Today is January 14th as I'm recording this, and that's that. Okay, now you notice that we added this task right here in the inbox, but it is no longer in the inbox. Why is that? That's because we assigned it an area. If there's a task, for example, this task right here, I had a vacuum cleaner I needed to repair. It's called by a company called Rowenta. This is a home task. So if I click here and I set this as a home task, boom, it leaves the inbox. So the inbox is a place for you to quickly capture tasks, and the tasks will stay in here until you either complete them, of course, or until you organize them by moving them to the right area. Now you're going to be working out of the inbox a lot, presumably. So I want to make sure that it's in the favorites right here. So I've already done this for you, but the way that works is you can just click the star right here. Now it's not in favorites, and click it again. Now it appears in favorites. Now, another page that you're going to be using a lot is the Today view. This is the list of tasks that you are planning to work on today, or that you must work on today because the deadline is today. So let me show you what filter I've set here, and that might make more sense. It shows you all tasks, first of all, where done is unchecked, that are incomplete to-dos. where the deadline was on or before today, so you really need to do it, otherwise there's going to be bad consequences, or you plan to do it today or maybe earlier, okay? So for example, this particular task to update my mailing address shows up here right now, because again, if I open it, we can see that we scheduled it for today. But here's another task, this one that says prepare gift for Kevin's wedding. If I open that, you'll see that it's not scheduled for today, but the deadline is today. I must do that today because I'm going to like a wedding party tonight. So I have to do this today. That's why it shows up on my list. So this is a really nice way to think of what you need to do today, right? Things that have to get done and things that would be really good to get done. Now you'll see that they're sorted by area right here, which I find really helpful. If you wanted to, you could go in here, click the ellipses, and go to group and then click area, and that will show your tasks by area like this, where the areas are broken down. You might prefer that. I think this is a little messy. It's a little big, not very compact. So I will just turn that off and say remove grouping. There we go. Now, let me tell you something about this deadline over here before we move on to the next view. Use the deadline feature sparingly. It's really tempting to set deadlines on most tasks. Like, I really want to do this by Friday at the latest. I really want to do that other thing by Saturday at the latest. But if you set fake deadlines for yourself like that, you're teaching yourself not to respect deadlines. And so when there is a to-do that you have that has a real deadline, something that you really need to do by a certain time, otherwise there'll be negative consequences, then you'll get into trouble. So use the scheduled for date to plan what you're going to do when, and use the deadline only to say this really needs to be done by that particular time. Okay, the next view I want to show you after today is the view called Anytime. I know I'm skipping upcoming, but we'll get to upcoming in a minute. Anytime is a list of all of the to-dos that you have, and I've put a bunch of demo to-dos in here right now. Some of these are real things I need to do, other things are demo things, organized by area. But these are all the to-dos that you have that are not already scheduled for a specific future date. So if I say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get a haircut right here. This is a task. And I'm going to do that on Monday. So I go to schedule for, and I'm going to do it on Monday. Now it disappears from the Anytime view. The Anytime view exists to help you figure out what to do right now, or what to do today, or maybe you're planning late in the evening for what you're going to do tomorrow. But anyway, it is designed to help you plan your day. So it shows you all of the tasks that are not already scheduled for some point in the future, broken down by area. So you might actually say, you know what, I really want to do a bunch of admin stuff today just to get all of that stuff out of the way. Then I can go into these admin tasks and, for example, pay the rent. I can schedule that for today. And the same thing with apply for a new passport. Close that, apply for a new passport. And I can schedule that for today as well. Close that. I accidentally created an empty task. So let me just delete that. There you go. Now, if I go back to today, you'll see that pay the rent and apply for a new passport live in here as well. So this is really a planning view. You could call it planning if you want to as well. Now let's go to this upcoming view. The upcoming view is very cool. It is a calendar view of your tasks. So it shows you in a calendar way when you're planning to do things or when things need to be done by. And let me show you how that works. So we have this paying the rent example that I've mentioned a few times already, right? Let's say the deadline for that is the 25th of the month. And let me just clear the scheduled for date. Now what you see is on the 25th of the month, pay the rent shows up. So I've set this up in the background in such a way that it shows you a task on the deadline, right? Unless you say, you know what? I have to pay the rent by the 25th at the latest, but I'm actually going to do it on the 20th. So 5 days earlier. Now, if I click out of this, you'll see that this task is actually listed under January 20th. So this upcoming view shows you all of your tasks which have at least one of the 2 dates assigned on the earlier of those 2 dates, scheduled for or deadline. Super handy way to plan ahead, to see what deadlines you have coming up and to figure out what you're going to do on which day next week. And of course, you can check tasks off in this view as well. For example, if I've watered the plants, I can just check the box right here, and now that's marked as done. Okay. Next up, we have a logbook. If I go into the logbook, you'll see that this is a list of all of the tasks that I have completed, just organized by date or by date grouping. So for example, what did I complete today? What did I complete yesterday, last 7 days, last 30 days, etc. it can be really helpful from time to time to reflect on what you've already completed. You know, it's so natural, so easy to only focus on all the things that you still have to do. It's nice to take some time sometimes and think, hey, what have I already done? So we then have this tasks subpage right here. Now this is, these are some views of the task database. So this to-dos view under tasks right here shows you all of the tasks that you have that are not complete, not done. So therefore there are still to-dos, just organized by area. And so this is regardless of when they're scheduled for. All of them are in here. This is not a view that you really need to use very often, but it can just be handy just if you want to see what are all of the to-dos that you still have. There's a view right here called to-dos with subtasks. Now this is nice. I built this in such a way that you can have to-dos with subtasks. For example, I have this task right here called build a task manager in Notion. Now if I go and find that under to-dos, it's listed under the work area. There's a little arrow right here. I can click that and you'll see it expands, and there's 2 subtasks right here. So sometimes you just have a task that consists of multiple steps, right? This is how you can set that up inside this Notion to-do template. You can say, you know what? One of my subtasks was to set up subtasks. Another one is to make the task manager prettier. I did that as well. I did some icon adding and stuff. And now that I've completed those, I have actually built a task manager in Notion. So let me click that. And now I've got that checked off. So now you'll see in the other view, this view is empty because there's no to-dos with subtasks right here. To create subtasks, by the way, you do it like this. So let's say apply for a new passport has some steps and you want to list those. You can click the icon right here and you can create a sub-item. So I can say, pick a place to have my photo taken. That might be one step. Another sub-item might be schedule appointment for photo taking. Then might be like make appointment with city office, etc. You can imagine. One downside is you are going to have to set these dates separately for the subtasks. So these sub items won't inherit the scheduled for date or the deadline. So you're going to have to set those as well. For example, right here, just set this to February 8th if that is actually the deadline, and so on. Anyway, this is how you do sub-items. We finally have this view over here called all tasks, and this just shows you a list of all of the tasks that you've ever put in your Notion Task Manager. They're just grouped by whether they're done or not. So right here, you'll see all the to-dos, and right here, you'll see all of the completed tasks right here. And you'll see that all of their properties, or some of their properties, are listed here as well, but you can always click on any single task and see all of the properties that we have. And if there are subtasks, such as we had right here, those will show up here as well. So we have this task management system in Notion right here, but Notion really shines when you put different types of data in it and then you link those types of data to each other. And one way you might do that, which is a logical next step after handling your to-dos, is tracking your goals inside Notion. So I've created a page with goals as well. Let me walk you through that. We have a couple of views. This is a separate database, just in the same way that all of our tasks are one database that we're looking at in different ways. We have this database with all of our goals that we're looking at in different ways. So we have active goals, inactive goals, achieved goals, and a view for all goals. Let's start with active goals. These are goals that we are currently working on. So you might imagine that you have a goal that you're not currently working on. At some point in the future, you'd like to do this thing, just not now. Let me actually start there. Inactive goals right here. For example, I have a goal that is to create an always ready guest bedroom. But currently I am digital nomading. I don't have a house, so this does not apply. But when I, again, live in the same place at some point, I'd like that place to have a guest bedroom that's always ready with all the amenities that guests might need, just in case I have an unexpected guest at some point, you know, and they can feel comfortable. But that doesn't make sense right now, so I've just marked that as an inactive goal, okay? However, these are my active goals, and these are actually some of my real goals, by the way. I wanted to give you some real examples, and you'll see that I've organized them by what I'm calling goal domains. When you're doing goal setting, I like to ask myself, what character development goals do I have? So this is goals where I'm thinking, if I were a character in a novel or on a TV show, what attributes do I have and how would I want to grow to have better attributes, more positive attributes. So for example, I want to be really gracious, polished, and composed. And I have a particular person in mind who I sometimes see on the news who really personifies that for me as a Turkish politician. And so this sort of, I've added that to my goal. I want to be as gracious, polished, and composed as this person, which I think is a really fun way of thinking about it. Another goal that I currently have that's a character development goal is to become more in tune with people in the real world rather than online. So having conversations with people in real life rather than on Twitter, for example. Next up is fun and adventure. So this might be, oh, I want to take a really big trip, or I want to go do a 50-day hike or whatever, stuff like that. Health, of course, you might have health goals. And I'll show you how to add goals in a minute, by the way. Intimate relationship goals, you might have some of those. Money goals, purpose and impact goals, like what is your purpose here on this world and what impact do you want to make? Really good to think about that. Skill building, are there any particular skills that you want to learn? It's a little bit different from character development. It's more like I want to learn to speak a certain language, right? Or I want to learn to play the guitar. Social life goals, you might have those. And of course, you might have work goals. Again, you can mix these up, but I find these really helpful. This is a really nice set to get started with. Credit goes to Steve Polina, noted personal development writer and many other things, teacher who came up with this. I adjusted it a little bit, but I find this a really well-rounded set of goal domains to think about. Anyway, so I've listed some of my goals here, but this is not a very pretty way of looking at them because there's some empty areas. I think that's realistic. I don't think you can work on 15 goals, across all different parts of your life at the same time. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click the ellipsis here, go to group, and then say hide empty groups. So now I'm just looking at my goals in the particular domains that I have active goals for. So how do you add a goal? Well, you click new. You click new. So let's say I have a goal, and that goal is to build more muscle mass. That is a health goal, so I will add that as health. And let's say that's an active goal as well. So now if I do this, you'll see that health starts to show up right here. And I see that this is a little bit unfortunate that it reorganizes them. So I'm just going to drag health here so it's alphabetical again. There you go. It's very important to me. Now I have this goal here, build more muscle mass. But just deciding that I want to build more muscle mass isn't really going to get me anywhere, right? So this goals page right here helps you clarify a few things about your goal. Let's open it up. And you'll see there's a couple more things going on. So first of all, there is a section that says, why do I care about this goal? And when you're adding a new goal, I encourage you to fill this out. So I'm going to say, I feel more attractive the more muscle I have. So I'd like to put on quite a bit more muscle mass. I think I can do so without ridiculous amounts of effort. There we go. Just a little motivation for myself. Now there's the next question. What values will I live up to by striving to achieve this goal? This is a little bit trickier, but I find this a really helpful way of thinking one level deeper. What things do I really, really care about? And why do I care about this goal so much? And this helps me with the motivation to actually achieve this goal. So what values will I live up to by striving to achieve for this particular goal? Discipline could be one. Challenges or challenging myself could be another, okay? And maybe we can come up with some more. So when you're adding a new goal, you want to add these motivations essentially here. Now, you might have noticed that we don't just have goals listed here, but also action steps. This is incredibly important. Whenever you're thinking about what your goals are, about what you want to achieve, your next thought should be, how am I going to achieve it? That's what action steps are for, and this is where the beauty of Notion comes in. Because like I was saying earlier, Notion gets better once you start putting different types of data in there and linking those pieces of data together. That's what we're doing right here. We have a list of our goals here, and for each goal, you can ask yourself, what am I actually going to do about this? And those things that we're going to do about them, those are tasks. Those are to-dos from our tasks database. So for example, one of my goals right now is to increase my surface area for meeting new people and having new ideas. And one of the ways that I'm going to do that is I'm going to register for some events in the next few destinations on my travels. Just events where I might meet new people that hopefully are interesting and friendly and all that kind of stuff, fun. So this register for events in my next few destinations, I call it an action step here, but it's actually linked to this task database. If I go to the tasks database and I go to my to-dos and fun and trips, you see it sits right here. It is a to-do just like any other to-do. We can schedule it for a certain date. We can give it a deadline, and you'll actually see here on the tasks database that it says which goal it contributes to. This is so helpful to know not only what are you going to do about your goals, but when you're working on a specific task, to understand why am I doing this. Now, not every single to-do needs to contribute to one of your listed goals. For example, all this admin stuff, it's fine. Like, you could create a goal that's like, stay on top of my admin stuff, but that's a bit artificial. But we can think of these as key action steps. So instead of action steps, I could have called these key action steps, the most important things that I'm going to do to progress my goals. So what you want to do when you add some goals to your goals database is actually write down what you're going to do about it as well. So for example, build more muscle mass. I might have an action step that is hire a personal trainer. Now, this one already exists, an action step, boom. So I'm linking it. And another one might be design some workout routines for when I have limited access to equipment. Look, those are some to-dos that already exist. And again, I can actually click on those. These are just to-dos. They have an area, they're scheduled for a certain time or not, they have a deadline or not, etc. So this is super, super handy. And if I actually just click on the goal right here, you'll see that they're listed here as well in this specific section inside the goals page. So what about the other views that we have under goals? Well, like I said, here we just have the inactive goals. Here we have a list of all the goals we have already achieved. Could be helpful to look back to sometime in the future. And we have a view that just shows us all goals, regardless of whether they're active, whether I've already achieved them, etc. Now, this is quite a basic goal setup, but that's by design, because I don't want you to spend hours and hours and hours working on a really elaborate setup. I just want you to reflect on what it is that you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it, and what you're going to do about it, meaning which action steps are you going to take. And once you're doing that, you've really done the vast majority of the work that you need to progress towards those goals. Okay, so that was to-dos and goals in Notion. Now let me show you one other part of Notion that I find super, super helpful. And it is how I organize my YouTube videos in Notion. Now, we worked on the to-dos and the goals, and we linked those to each other because Notion gets more valuable the more data you link to each other. That's the strength of Notion. But not all data needs to be linked to each other. It doesn't need to be, and you can still make excellent use of Notion if you have pages that don't link to other pages. So here I have a page called YouTube videos. It's where I plan my YouTube videos, including this particular one that I'm recording right now. Actually, notice this video says how to organize your to-dos with Notion. That's the one we're filming. So we're filming that right now, so it should be listed under filming. There we go. That's more accurate. So what have I got right here? This is a separate database where each entry in the database is a YouTube video. Now, a YouTube video has a status. It's either an idea, I am writing the outline or the script, usually an outline. I don't really like to use scripts. I am filming this particular video. I am editing the video, or maybe someone else is editing the video. Or I am preparing to publish the video, or it is published, or I canceled it. Now, here's the list of video ideas that I have. So when I think of a video that I might want to do, I just click here, and I fill this in, and I might say, how to be productive if you work multiple jobs. Let's say that is a video that I want to do. Now I have a video right here and it's listed under idea. So far, so good. This is kind of helpful to have a list of, like a Kanban board, right? However, the real magic happens inside these particular pages. So for each idea that turns into a video eventually, there is a template that I have. So if I click on this one, for example, one idea I have is I could do a 7-day series where, we do a little bit every day to get a little bit more organized. If I open that, I get this page right here. Let me just make this page a little bit bigger. Okay. You'll see that there's a lot going on here. So for example, each video has some attributes, and this is, again, a separate table, right? So the video has a number, just so I can easily refer to it. if it gets published, it has a publication date at some point. It's going to have a URL on YouTube. It's going to have a status, that goes from idea to writing, filming, etc. There may be a sponsor for some videos, like for this video, which is sponsored by Notion. Thanks again. But here's where the real magic happens. When I'm planning out a video, I fill out this template to help me understand what I'm going to say, how the video is going to be useful to you guys, etc. Now, I could just create a task, right? We have this whole task database right here. And under work, I could just create a task that says record Notion video. In fact, I have such a task, right? And I could open this and put the whole template right here. And you know what? You should have a task as well for such a project that you're doing, like in this case, recording the Notion video. But you'll notice that we have the to-do attributes here, like is it done, when is it scheduled for, what's the deadline, what's the area, etc. But I want to keep track of some other things, and that's why I have a separate database right here. I want to keep track of what's the video number, what's the publication date, what's the URL, who's the sponsor, etc. That's why I created a separate database for it, and that's totally fine. And I want you to think about what projects you might have that you repeatedly do that you'd like to track some custom attributes for. So that could be as simple as, one of my favorite examples is I once worked with a guy who owns a company that like installs doors in people's homes and maybe offices, right? So he'll have various jobs, and each job is like, go into a place and install a door in this room, or, rip out the existing door and upgrade it to a better one or something like that. Now that's a project. So he could create a page in Notion that tracks information, right? What's the address that he needs to be at? What's the date that he needs to be there at? What's the price that he agreed on? Those could all be attributes that he could track in this way. So that's just a different custom project. Anyway, let me walk you through my YouTube video template. So basically, whenever I come up with a new idea for a video, it automatically includes this template that you're seeing right here. And it asked me to fill in some things, like who am I targeting? So for example, for the 7-day series on getting a little bit more organized every day, I might say something like, people who have seen one of my videos on YouTube, but who have not yet subscribed to my channel. By the way, if you're finding this useful, you might consider subscribing to my channel. I like to write down what I want people to comment. This is a real great way for me to get in the mood. So I might put something like, wow, Peter, this video was so motivating. I got started immediately. That might be a comment that I'd love to see. I come up with some title options for the video. I come up with some ideas for what I want the video thumbnail to be, and I write an outline for the video, etc. So this is how I organize my YouTube videos inside Notion. So hope this gave you a good idea of how you might want to track your to-dos, your goals, and any custom projects that you do have in Notion. Again, if you do want to get started with Notion, just use the link in the description below the video. You can also get a free template there for the to-dos, the goals, and this YouTube video page that I have. And hey, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of the video by leaving a comment. Hit the like button on your way out, and have a great day. Ciao.